Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here with us today. If you love efficient, focused learning and breaking down really massive ideas, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into a fascinating comparison regarding how we, as humans, measure progression. We're going to start by looking at the frantic, highly competitive ladders we climb in today's modern tech world. And then we'll transition into something truly awe-inspiring. We are going to explore a full explanation of the ranks, degrees, and the sheer bliss of paradise in Islam. It is an absolutely incredible contrast of scale, time, and ambition.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Think about it. When you wake up every single day, how do you actually quantify leveling up? In our modern society, success is usually measured by speed, efficiency, and how quickly we can master the next big thing to save ourselves time and make some money. But ancient theologies, well, they ask a very different question. They describe ultimate, eternal rewards that make our everyday temporal achievements look like a drop in the ocean. So how exactly do these two worldviews compare?
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, modern ladders of success. Second, the lowest rank. Third, the 100 degrees. Fourth, the hanging palaces. Fifth, the 4 main gardens. And finally, the apex of paradise.
All right, part 1, modern ladders of success. Let's start with the world we live in right now, right? Progression today is basically defined by fast-moving tech and the ultimate modern side hustle. We want maximum return for minimum effort, and honestly, we want it yesterday. Just look at how modern success is quantified by speed and ease. Take AI clipping, for example. It requires just a $15 a month subscription and a 3-day learning curve? The AI does 90% of the work. But because it's so easy, the competition is fierce. If you want to climb this modern ladder and lower your competition, you've got to invest more time. Moving up to building AI agents takes 1 to 2 months to learn. Climbing even higher to AI app building takes 2 to 3 months. But the competition there is virtually non-existent. We're just trading a little more of our time for a higher rank in the market. And to climb these modern ladders, we usually map out skills in strict tiers. Basic prompting gets your foot in the door. Intermediate skills involve deploying local AI agents to automate your life. And advanced mastery means agentic engineering, where the AI actually builds software for you. This perfectly captures our worldly ambition. We want to build, we want to automate, and most importantly, we want to save time. But that raises a pretty profound question. What happens to progression when time literally isn't a factor anymore? So here is the absolute crucial point. We are constantly rushing to save hours and days using tools like AI, climbing these frantic, temporary ladders. But what happens when we shift our focus from a 3-month learning curve to infinity? Let's dramatically shift our scale here and look at the infinite, eternal progression described in Islamic theology.
Which brings us to part 2, the lowest rank.
To really grasp the scale of Jannah, paradise in Islamic theology, we aren't starting at the top. We're starting at the absolute rock-bottom baseline, with the final person to exit the fire and enter heaven. The source material shares a very poignant narrative about this man. He is so exhausted that he literally crawls out of the fire. As he escapes, he sees a tree and incrementally begs God just to move him to its shade. Then he spots a better tree, asks to move there, until finally he is brought to the very gates of paradise. But hearing the voices inside, he hesitates. He actually assumes paradise is already completely full and there's no room left for him at all.
Now, this is where the sheer shift in scale just blows your mind. God asks this man if he'd be satisfied with a kingdom equal to an earthly king. The man agrees, but he is then granted 10 times the greatest kingdom on earth. This absolute lowest rank includes an estate so massive it would take 1,000 years just to cross it. He's given 80,000 servants, and even at this foundational level, he gets to see the Creator every Friday in a vast, sprawling valley.
Let's move up. Part 3, the 100 degrees.
If that massive estate is just the baseline, what does it actually mean to climb higher? Well, let's move to and see how this builds, because Islamic theology describes paradise not as some flat landscape, but as an unbelievable architectural marvel of vertical layers. These are known as 100 degrees. They're a vast series of vertical ranks prepared specifically for those who truly struggle and strive in their faith. And the scale here continues to expand way, way beyond any human comprehension.
The contrast here is just staggering. Imagine standing on 1 degree and looking up at the next. The distance is described as the space between Earth and a distant glowing star in the night sky. But it's the composition that is truly mind-bending. These aren't just empty spaces. Entire degrees are built exclusively from pure silver. The one above that, pure gold. Above that, pearls and green rubies.
As a person ascends these degrees, the light, the brilliance, and the sheer physical beauty multiply exponentially.
Moving on to part 4, the hanging palaces.
Continuing our ascent, we hit a rank that, honestly, sounds like something straight out of science fiction, yet it is deeply rooted in ancient scripture. We are talking about the floating architecture of heaven. These are known as al-ali, or the hanging rooms. Just imagine transparent, diamond-like taluses suspended entirely in the sky. They're so pure that the inside is completely visible from the outside, and rivers flow directly beneath these floating structures. To the people in the lower ranks we just discussed, these floating crystal rooms look like glowing planets shining in the sky above them. And you know, this brilliantly illustrates one of the most beautiful contrasts in this whole theology. You'd probably think you need to, conquer galaxies to earn a floating diamond palace, right? But look at the qualifications. Feeding others, speaking kindly to people, fasting consistently, praying quietly at night while the rest of the world sleeps. The most astronomical, mind-blowing rewards are actually earned through the simplest, quietest acts of worldly kindness and devotion.
Let's keep climbing. Part 5, the 4 main gardens.
As we keep going up, we run into some complex naming conventions common in Islamic texts. So let's break these down into a clear, structured understanding of the 4 primary gardens. Surah Ar-Rahman in the Quran lays out a very distinct theological division. The top 2 gardens are reserved for the absolute closest believers. These are characterized by rapidly flowing rivers named Tasnim and Salsabil and diverse branching trees. Now, the bottom 2 gardens in this tier are for the general righteous, known for foliage so intensely green it almost looks dark, and they're filled with powerful bubbling springs. This tier contains famous names you might actually recognize, like the gardens of Eden, Mawa, and Na'im.
And finally, part 6, the apex of paradise. This brings us to the ultimate summit, the absolute highest physical and spiritual point on this eternal ladder. We're talking about Jannah al-Firdaus. It is the highest and most central garden of all. And what makes it incredibly unique is that its actual roof is the throne of the Creator himself. Firdaus is the very source of the 4 main rivers of paradise, a river of pure water, a river of unchanging milk, a river of clear honey, and a river of delightful wine. These rivers cascade all the way down from Firdaus to nourish every lower level of paradise. But the ultimate reward up here, it's not the rivers, it's not the gardens, it is the spiritual proximity. Remember the man at the lowest rank who visits on Fridays? Well, the inhabitants of Firdaus gaze upon the face of the Creator twice daily, every single morning and evening. The text described that with every single encounter, they return to their palaces growing physically more radiant and more beautiful. Yet incredibly, there is one singular point even higher than that. It's called Al-Wasila. This is a totally unique station located above Firdaus, attached directly to the throne, and it is reserved entirely for one single human being out of all creation. Islamic theology explains that this absolute center of paradise was created solely for Prophet Muhammad. From this unmatched peak, he descends to meet, sit with, and honor the inhabitants across all the other ranks. The core message we get from the source material is perfectly captured in a famous saying from the Prophet. If you ask Allah, ask him for Al-Firdaus, for it is the middle of paradise and the highest part of paradise. The theology actively encourages believers to never ever settle. Despite humble beginnings or simple deeds, you are supposed to aim for the absolute highest peak of existence. Let's bring this whole shebang together. We started today by looking at how we literally scramble to learn AI clipping in 3 days just to make a quick buck or save an hour of our time. It's kind of fascinating, isn't it? We obsess over these fleeting $15-month digital hustles, while ancient scripture outlines an awe-inspiring, eternal progression built of starlight, pure gold, and infinite degrees. So I want to leave you with a thought to really reflect on. As you dedicate your time, your energy, and your focus to leveling up in this life, when you look at the ladders you're climbing today, what is your ultimate destination? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.